What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all well, and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. So we have an interesting episode for you guys today. We are going to go back to the party camp, we're going to give out some gifts, and we're going to dive into the companions some more, see if we can't get some of these companion quests and dialogues we've been missing so far. Also, shout out to a viewer who had mentioned that Claudia Black did an amazing job as Morrigan. Indeed, she did. I think Claudia Black has one of the most recognizable voices, probably in voice acting, specifically for me. Let me know if you guys feel the same way, but every time I hear her pop up in any other game, whether it's like a random dialogue from a side NPC that's completely unimportant, I will immediately recognize her voice. She's been in games like Destiny 2. She also pops up in the Mass Effect series as one of the admirals for the Quarians. And no matter what she's in, I always catch her voice almost immediately and immediately think, oh hey, that's Morrigan. The other voice actors I can think of like that would be Jennifer Hale, who plays Femshep. She also has a really recognizable voice. And then there is the Templar in Lothering, who actually plays one of the main companions in Dragon Age 2. That's also cool. A lot of recognizable voices in the voice acting space, and BioWare has had most of them, so they will pop up pretty much everywhere.
Now that we're back at the camp, I want to talk about what happened at Redcliffe.
What's on your mind?
I just wanted to thank you. You went out of your way to save the Isle's family, and you did it. Even though it would have been easier not to. There's been so much death and destruction. It makes me feel good that at least we were able to save something. No matter how small. I owed the Isle that much.
If we can stop the Blight, we'll save much more.
You're right. Hopefully, by that time, there's still enough of Ferelden left to save. Good. Now that the warm, fuzzy part of the day is over with, we can get back to the ritual dismemberments. Oh wait, it's not Tuesday, is it?
I am also very happy we managed to get the outcome we got there. I think that was best for everybody. Right, so we do have the book that we can give to Morrigan finally. I do want to hand out some gifts to Leliana and Sten, because I've been looking for dialogues from them for a while that we just don't have the reputation to get. So, let's see what we have down here. Andraste's grace is, of course, for Leliana. That should cheer her up a little bit. Now, what did it say Sten liked? He was a fan of paintings, right?
Unexpected.
He was. He heard the little scrolling in the background, which means that he just got to level up on his companion approval. Now, where's Leliana? We have something very special for you.
Flowers? Thank you. They're very pretty.
Those are your mother's flowers, aren't they?
These were her favorite. I haven't seen these in such a long time. They smell just like Mother used to. Thank you. Thank you so much for remembering.
Of course. Pay attention to our companions. Alright, Sten. You finally ready to open up a little?
You are not quite as callow as I thought. That is unexpected.
Callow? You thought I was callow?
You sound surprised. You must have heard this before. You'll get over it. Eventually.
So will you tell me now why you were caged?
I caged myself. A weak mind is a deadly foe, as you are no doubt aware.
What do you mean by a weak mind?
That is complicated. I told you before that I was sent here. I was not sent alone. I came to your lands with 7 of the Beresad, my brothers, to seek answers about the Blight. We made our way across the Ferelden countryside without incident, seeing nothing of the threat we were sent to observe. Until the night we camped by Lake Calenhad. They came from everywhere. The earth beneath our feet, the air above us. Our own shadows harbored the Darkspawn. I saw the last of the creatures cut down, too late. I fell.
His Canary squad was ambushed by Darkspawn. That sounds like what happened to me at Ostagar.
I heard the stories of Ostagar. Your kith stood their ground when others fled. No one can do more than that. I don't know how long I lay on the battlefield among the dead, nor do I know how the farmers found me. I only know that when I woke I was no longer among my brothers, and my sword was gone from my hand.
There's a lot of honorable men that died at Ostagar, thanks to Logain. You probably dropped it on the battlefield.
Perhaps. I searched for it, and when that failed, I asked my rescuers what had become of it.
Did the farmers know where it was?
They said they found me with nothing.
Did you believe them?
I did. I knew they didn't have the blade. They had no reason to lie to me. I panicked. Unthinking, I struck them down.
You panicked over a lost blade.
That sword was made for my hand alone. I have carried it from the day I was set into the Beresad. I was to die wielding it for my people. Even if I could cross Ferelden and Tevinter unarmed and alone to bring my report to the Arishok, I would be slain on sight by the Antam. They would know me as soulless, a deserter. No soldier would cast aside his blade while he drew breath.
And now, for somebody as stoic and important of duty as Sten, you gotta imagine this blade must hold a lot of significance to make him panic like that and lash out. You can barely get him to crack a smile or raise a temper. Couldn't you search for it?
If I knew where to look, it would be in my hand now.
Where did you fight the Darkspawn?
Near Lake Callanhad.
Don't worry, we'll find it.
Perhaps those words are empty, but thank you all the same.
Beautiful. Now we have the Sword of the Beresad. We're gonna try and find Sten's sword for him. Yeah, the importance that holds to Canary is beyond our imagining, really. And again, somebody as stoic, such a straight-edged warrior as him, to lose his mind over that and mindlessly slaughter people, you gotta imagine that's more than we understand. And if we get it back for him, then his mind will be set straight on helping us with the Darkspawn, so... I believe Sten to be an honorable man, whether he's made mistakes or not, and I think even if we gave his blade back, he would still help us with the Blight. He seems like he takes his duty and his oaths very seriously. Clearly, he was going to let himself starve to death in a cage because of what he did. Let's talk to Alistair.
You know, maybe this isn't the best time to be thinking about this, but I've something to ask you. Chances are we'll be heading to Denerim soon. And when we're there, I wonder if we might be able to look someone up.
You have a friend outside the Grey Wardens?
I'm not talking about a friend, exactly. And no, it's not that sort of friend either.
I have no idea what you
The thing
mean.
is,
The thought never crossed my
I
mind.
have a sister, a half-sister. I told you about my mother, right? She was a servant at Redcliffe Castle and she had a daughter.
Right.
Only I never knew about her. I don't think she knew about me either. They kept my birth a secret after all. But after I became a Grey Warden, I did some checking and, well, I found out she's still alive. In Denerim.
Have you contacted her?
No. I thought about writing her, but I never did. And then we were called down to Ostagar and I never got the chance. She's the only real family I have left. The only family not also mixed up in the whole royal thing. I've just been thinking that maybe it's time I went to see her. With the Blight coming and everything, I don't know if I'll ever get another chance to see her. Maybe I can help her. Warn her about the danger, I don't know.
Probably best to do these kinds of things in person anyways. A letter from somebody she's never met wouldn't mean much. What are you expecting she will do?
I'm not sure. I don't know anything about her except her name and where she lives. Her name is Goldana, and I think she remarried but still lives just outside the alienage. If we're in the area, then, well, it's worth a look.
Indeed it is. Which reminds me, speaking of Alistair, we do have something for you too. We found a locket while we were exploring the castle, somewhere down here. Where is it? Alistair's mother's amulet.
This is my mother's amulet. It has to be. But why isn't it broken? Where did you find it?
I found it in Redcliffe, in the study.
Oh, the Arl study? Then he must have found the amulet after I threw it at the wall. And he repaired it and kept it. I don't understand. Why would he do that?
I suspect he never had much ill will towards you, Alistair. That's mostly on his wife as old, I think. Maybe he meant to give it back to you.
Maybe he did. He might even have brought it with him one of those times he came to see me at the monastery. Not that I would have given him a chance, as belligerent as I was to him. Thank you. I mean it. I thought I'd lost this to my own stupidity. I'll need to talk to him about this if he recovers from his...
He'll recover.
When he recovers, that is.
That's the spirit.
I wish I'd had this a long time ago. Did you remember me mentioning it? Wow. I'm more used to people not really listening when I go on about things.
You're a friend. Of course I remembered.
I don't know what to say. I'm honored. Thanks again.
Absolutely. And we have inspired him once again. Now, we have Leliana, Morrigan, Zevran, and Wynne left over, so... Let's see if we have anything that we can give Zevran. I'm not sure what he would even like, really. We know he's Antivan, and that's about all we know. Do we have anything you would be interested in? I doubt you want a lamb bone. Steel braces. I mean, at this point, we can just start handing them out, I suppose.
You have excellent taste.
It's a +4, it's not bad. He probably does like rings and things like that, given that he's Antivan. Would you like a remarkable greenstone?
How nice.
He would not really enjoy that much. Right. Let's go ahead and talk to him anyway, see if we can get anything else out of him.
Here I am.
Here you are. Care to answer some questions?
Oh, this should be good. Go ahead.
Do you actually enjoy being an assassin?
And why not? There are many things to enjoy about being a crow in Antiva. You are respected, you are feared, the authorities go out of their way to overlook your trespasses, even the rewards are nothing to turn your nose up at. As for the killing part, well, some people simply need assassinating. Or do you disagree?
No, you're probably right.
I often find myself the instrument of fate, ending these lives for one necessity or another. I console myself with the notion that most of them had it coming. As far as enjoying the act of killing itself, why not? There is a certain artistry to the deed, the pleasure of sinking your blade into their flesh and knowing that their life is in your hands.
Takes a kind of intimate pleasure in that, it seems. I know what you mean.
There are many things I did not enjoy about being a crow, of course. Having no choice, being treated as an expendable commodity, the rules, oh, so many rules. But simply being an assassin, I like it just fine. I will continue to do it if I can, even if I am not a crow. Honestly, could you picture me doing something else?
No, I suppose not. Well, actually, let's go. Why not? You can do whatever you like. He is a free man currently, after all.
Whereas I am content merely doing what I happen to be good at. It's a talent that not many come by, honestly. I don't see why I need not pursue it. Of course, all these thoughts are moot. Chances are still good that you and I will perish, eaten by Darkspawn or slain by the crows at some point. Very gruesomely, I imagine. But it is pleasant enough to chat about. Come, let's move on while our boots still have some wear in them.
We'll do our best to avoid being eaten by Darkspawn, of course. What are you up to, Wynne?
What's on your mind?
Are you feeling better now?
Oh, yes, and thank you for asking. I'm feeling much better today.
Yeah, the last interaction we had with Wynne was when she collapsed after the Darkspawn encounter. I like making sure all my companions are well.
Well, thank you for your kindness, my dear. It certainly warms these rickety old bones.
Not too rickety. Hell of a mage.
What's on your mind?
I was just thinking about being a Grey Warden.
Is something troubling you?
No, I think it was the best thing that happened to me.
You are one of the 2 surviving Grey Wardens in Ferelden. You defend all of us, and much rests on your shoulders. It may not mean much to you, but thank you for having the courage to continue to fight.
Man, Wynne is wholesome. She is like the grandma moral compass of the whole party. I will be ready when the time comes.
And that gives me hope.
Wynne is like the kind of companion you would go to for guidance in hard times, I feel like. Like if I was in this party camp given all this and I needed advice on a certain perspective, there are 2 people I would go to in the camp. If I wanted advice on war, I would go to Sten. If I wanted advice on morality, I would go to Wynne. She could be a little preachy sometimes, but in general, her head and heart are in the right place.
Have you heard much about the Grey Wardens of old?
I know they were more respected in the old days.
It was said that watching the Wardens ride in on their white griffins was enough to rouse a weary heart and put the dance back in the step of an old man. The Grey Wardens were powerful, feared and respected. But they also inspired the common people. I remember a tale that was told to me many years ago.
Go on.
The Blight had ravaged the land for months, and the armies of the great kings had amassed for one last stand. As the sun burst through the clouds that boiled and churned in the dark sky above, it illuminated a vast, seething horde of Darkspawn, with the archdemon at its head. And it was then, when courage seemed to fail, and all lost to death and despair, that the Grey Wardens came. They arrived with the beating of wings like mighty war drums, and stood before the armies of men.
Grey Wardens are absolutely my favorite fantasy faction of knights or heroes in existence. The grey morality, the lore behind them, the way they become what they are, the reason they are what they are. I love the Grey Wardens so much. And what happened then?
The Grey Wardens, grim and fearless, marched forth, ever between the men and the encroaching Darkspawn. They formed a shield of their own bodies and held that line until the archdemon was dead, and the last Darkspawn lay trampled in the dirt. And then, demanding neither reward nor recognition for their sacrifice, the Grey Wardens departed. When the clouds finally rolled back, and the sun shone full upon the blighted ground, the great kings knew that they had lost no men, and none of their blood had been spilled.
This story isn't about a specific battle, is it?
You are observant. This is a tale about no battle the Grey Wardens have fought, and yet about them all. They have always defended us from the Darkspawn, taking losses so we do not have to. People may have forgotten over the centuries, but nothing has changed. This knowledge has been blessing and burden to Grey Wardens past, and now it shall be your blessing and your burden.
The silent watchers on the wall, taking no credit or glory. Alright, let's talk to Leliana. She should have something interesting for us.
Something I can help with?
I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yes? What's on your mind?
I heard that in Olay, minstrels are often spies.
Where did you hear this?
Someone told me this a long time ago.
And you believe everything you hear? Not all minstrels are spies. Most are just singers and storytellers. But some of them are what we call bards.
And the bards are spies?
Bards are minstrels and more. Spies, as you say. Some say there is a bard order, but I don't think this is true. Many bards work alone or in small groups, doing the bidding of a patron who pays for their services. If there is an organization behind it all, no one knows who they are.
Patron? What sort of patron?
Nobles, mostly. In Orlais, there is much rivalry amongst the highborn.
The grand
They
game.
fight over land, influence, and the favor of the Empress. But they cannot do this openly because it is impolite, and in public, they wear smiling faces and pretend to be civil. In secret, they plot and scheme to destroy each other. It is a game completely meaningless to anyone but its players.
A land filled of bureaucracy and backstabbing. I would hate to be there. You were a bard, weren't you?
I have revealed too much, it seems, but it doesn't matter what I used to be. It is the past.
But why were you living as a cloistered sister in rural Ferelden?
I found myself in Ferelden and sheltered from bad weather in the Chantry. And when the storm passed, I just did not want to leave. I like to say the Maker brought me here.
And there is actually a lot more to that story that now we got this dialogue we'll actually get in the future.
Something I can help with?
Can you teach me to be a bard?
That's an idea. I've watched you, and I do think you'd find some of my skills quite easy to pick up. Let's just go over there, away from the others. For safety, yes? I expect there shall be daggers flying about willy-nilly for a time.
Probably true. Probably best to do it away from the rest of the camp.
Something I can help with?
I'd like to talk to you about something.
Yes? What's on your mind?
We have nothing else yet. Alright, so that leaves us with Shale, and we do have a lamb bone for the dog that we're going to get out of our inventory. Give the good boy a bone. Where is it? It's a lamb bone somewhere. There it is. Enjoy. Right, where was Shale? I don't really think we need to give Shale something, but we will just before we talk. What is there that you might potentially appreciate? I like this small dragon statuette. The only thing I can think of to give you, so...
Very nice indeed.
+4 is not bad. Let's talk to Shale, see if they have any commentary.
It speaks.
It does. I have some questions.
It doesn't have better things to do.
Not presently. Are those crystals in your skin?
I like to think of them as accessories.
Do all golems have them?
I suspect that it is an art that was practiced when golems were more, commonplace. My former master collected whatever lore he could find on the subject. He searched far and wide to collect what crystals he could and then added them. It is not an unpleasant sensation.
So the decoration?
As I understand it, the crystals allow me to alter the flow of magic around me. Wilhelm had hoped to turn me into a battery of mana, something he could tap at will.
Did he succeed?
Not really, although now that I think of it, these attempts may be what caused my disruption. Some of the crystals increase the presence of mana, some absorb or reflect spells. There are various kinds. All I can promise is that should it ever find one of these crystals, I can likely tell it the function and what it would do if added to me.
So Wilhelm was essentially trying to subvert the need for blood magic or lyrium potions to boost his magic. He wanted to use Shale as a battery instead of all those things. Would you be willing to have more added?
Why not? I don't get to wear clothing and other adornments like the rest of you creatures after all. That answers its question, I assume.
The rest of you creatures.
Unless it has more.
I'm told you killed your former master.
Did I not already tell it that I do not remember doing such? I remember having a master. My memories of what happened to him are vague.
Vague, but not non-existent.
Clever and true. Oh, very well. Let me see what I can recall. My former master enjoyed experimenting upon me. I remember that much. There was tinkering with spells, and then the crystals. He was very eager to alter my function, I think.
What sorts of experiments?
Bah! I am no mage, and he did not explain himself to me, any more than it would explain itself to a sword. He possessed my control rod, and back then, it would have prevented me from doing anything he did not command me to, no matter how I might have wished to. So what happened? I am unsure. He was experimenting, and then nothing.
We'll actually learn a lot more about golems when we hit to Orzammar, but the idea of a control rod with golems is actually quite repulsive. Are you sure? Nothing at all?
There was pain. I do not feel it as soft creatures do, so the memory is an odd one. And then he was gone. I was standing where I was, in the village, and I could no longer move. The villagers came, poked and prodded me in fear, and then realized they could neither move me nor destroy me, so they simply left me. And in time I forgot I hadn't stood there all along.
And then they started decorating you as seasonal scarecrows. That must have been terrible. I'm sorry. I can't imagine being paralyzed like that, just watching life go by.
In fact, at first I found it more of a relief. For so many years I'd had to leap to that little toadstool's every command. Get this, pick up that, put it down, pick it up again. The gall! At first I'd
The
hoped he'd
audacity.
simply decided to leave me there paralyzed. An acceptable trade-off. After years passed, I simply stopped caring.
Sounds like you had a good rest.
I think I was ready to move on. Another few years and the moss would have covered my face. And then where would I have been? Whatever the mage did seemed to render the control rod useless, for which I should be thankful, yes? And provided it doesn't decide to copy his experiments, not that I would allow it, it is nothing to fear from me. Much.
I have no intention of doing any of that. Sounds good to me.
The things that it fights, and it fights things often, that is a different story. Let us get back to the walking and the fighting. My stone is beginning to itch again.
Its stone's beginning to itch.
It speaks.
Often. I have some questions.
It doesn't have better things to do.
How did you end up in Hunleaf? Do you remember?
Oh yes, that I remember quite well. My former master, the mage Wilhelm, he brought me. As I recall, he had acquired some position with whatever lord ruled the land. I, being little more than a glorified possession at the time, was brought along. Oh, how he enjoyed impressing the villagers with me. Gollum snarl at that villager there, be fearsome. And of course, I would have to do it.
I would have thought you'd enjoy scaring humans.
I'd have happily stomped them all into paste, and then ripped down their little houses and stomped on them, too. In fact, after 30 years of watching them, I'd do it twice. What I didn't like was being ordered to do it. Dangled in front of those frightened morons like some scary thing. Once I was a statue, it took those villagers years before they'd even approach me. The first one to actually work up the nerve to touch me urinated himself. Ugh.
That's embarrassing. But why were you out in front of the tower?
That is where Wilhelm kept me. He wanted me out in the open where I could be frightening like a scarecrow. I was supposed to watch for thieves. Pah! Plus, his wife didn't want me indoors. She said there wasn't room for me. Hag.
Hag. His wife?
Humph. I was once larger, 10 feet tall. Then the loathsome hag complained that I couldn't fit through the doors. So the mage had me shrunk down. Can it believe it? And she still wanted me out.
How does someone shrink a golem?
With a chisel. And a lot of nerve.
You didn't like this Wilhelm, I take it.
He did love using that control rod. Fondled it so much his wife actually threatened to throw it in the lake. Ha! I would have liked to have seen that. Which reminds me, where did it find the rod? Did it pay a great deal for it?
Wilhelm's wife sold it, I believe.
Hag.
Do you remember anything before Hunleaf?
I traveled with the mage. He did a lot of traveling, I remember that. But where we went, it is rather fuzzy. I remember great battles, fighting many humans long ago. They were all very soft and squishy. And before that...
That would be Marik's rebellion.
No, there are only images. I was somewhere dark.
Which actually surprised me when I read the codexes and learned that him and Wilhelm were a key factor in Marik's rebellion, apparently. The squishy humans he's talking about killing are all legions. Just how old are you exactly?
I have no idea. Wilhelm used to brag that the dwarves stopped making golems centuries ago. I do not age as you soft creatures do. Sadly, my memory is no better. Plus, I get bored and stop paying attention.
So excuse me, I keep saying he. I consistently forget that Shale is actually a she. So, she, excuse me. Interesting. I'm done asking about that.
Good. I was just about done talking about it. It does like to have a good chat now and again, doesn't it?
Doesn't have to have a quick conversation every now and then. Right, so we've done Alistair, Leliana, Sten, Wynne, Zevran. We gave Duke the bone. Morrigan is the last one we have to talk to. Before we hand her the grimoire, let's see if she has any comments about what happened with Connor.
Yes?
I'd like to ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Tell me, are you really Flemeth's daughter?
I assume you were actually asking whether Flemeth herself gave birth to me. Truly, I do not know. I once asked Flemeth that very question, and she merely laughed at me. 'Tis not inconceivable that she could capture a chastened man, or perhaps change to a more attractive form to attract him willingly. I find it more difficult to imagine her with child.
She was not always as old as she is now, was she?
As a matter of fact, I remember her being younger once. She had black hair, much like my own, long and lustrous. But how could that be if she is centuries old? Has she become wizened only recently? Or are the tales of her legend only that, and nothing more? I do know the tales of Flemeth having many daughters, even though I have never met another. And Flemeth has always treated me as her blood.
Going back a little to Claudia Black's work with Morrigan, and how Morrigan is one of my favorite characters in RPG history. This character has so much depth and so much progression over this story. It's really hard for her not to be one of my favorite characters here in Origins. The journey she goes on, the self-inflection, the little undercovering of emotions, and the different masks she has on that you get to peel back depending on your decisions. It's very interesting. He doesn't seem very motherly.
Must one be a doting and simpering moron to be considered a suitable mother? Flemeth taught me everything I needed to learn. How to survive, the meaning of power, the truth of men. If other mothers do not teach these things, then I believe them the lesser.
Is there no place for nurturing and love?
Room for coddling and weakness? Why
Not
should
necessarily.
such things be desirable? Take yourself. You do not honestly desire such things from me, do you? 'Tis better to be free of such cloying and cluttering delusions as love.
Why limit yourself?
I do not consider it a limitation. Not leaping into a burning building also happens to be an experience best avoided. I tire of this discussion.
But there are
Let's
reasons
move
to
on,
leap
shall
into a burning building that could be worth your time. I think that would be the last thing we have to talk to her about before we hand her the grimoire, so... Actually, you can't give it her right now. Interesting.
Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Oh, actually? Excuse me, I think I was being a little silly there. I don't think I tabbed over to her. Correct, I didn't.
What? You found Flemeth's grimoire? But when I spoke of it to you, I did not truly hope... This is a most fortuitous event. You have my thanks. I will begin study of the tome immediately.
What do you hope to find within it?
Secrets. My mother has many of them, and this tome represents the one time that they were able to get away from her. I do not intend to squander this opportunity to learn more than Flemeth wished me to know. This should be interesting.
I'm sure it will be. Alright, and I think that is gonna be it for this episode. I don't think there's any more dialogues we didn't get. I suppose I'll check if I have anything to turn in here for our mage friends. I don't think we got any more runes. No, the only ones we have left are Master. We're certainly not going to be given those, so... Yeah, that'll be it for this episode, guys. And then on the next one, we'll try and figure out where we're heading next. We already did Denerim. We might do some of those companion quests we just picked up. Or, excuse me, we did Redcliffe. The only places we have left would be the Brazilian Forest, Denerim, and Frostback Mountains. Or we could actually do Return to Ostagar. Maybe that's what we'll do. Anyways, that's a story for another time. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment. If you want to support the cause and help improve the channel, there's a tip link in the description below. Otherwise, stay tuned and I'll see you guys soon with more Dragon Age Origins. Have a good day, guys. Take care.